Well, today is February 7th, 2019. And earlier today, the newly elected Congresswoman from a district in Queens released her Green Deal, new Green Deal, the details of which are, in a word, astonishing, and in perhaps another word, bewildering, maybe unbelievable. I couldn't help but think to myself, in 1948, George Orwell sat down and he penned his dark look of the future in a book called 1984. And he wrote 1984 with the numbers that way, it's sort of the opposite of 1948. The book was released in 1949, and most people who read it thought to themselves, well, there's just no way that any of this is going to come true. Orwell he's either just a very dour person and he's looking at a bleak future, or maybe he's just ahead of his time. Well, here we are some 70 years into the future, and a lot of the things that George Orwell pointed out in 1984 have come to pass. Now, a lot of them haven't, but a lot of them have. We've got language police. Hell, we almost have thought police here. And modern day English, with all of the politically correct words that we seem to be forced or strongly encouraged to use, sound an awful lot to me like newspeak. We don't live in Oceania yet, but you can kind of see where it could be there. Well, let's fast forward here to 2019, and that representative that I was mentioning earlier, her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and her new Green Deal has some details and some ideas in it that are, let's just say, far-fetched, futuristic. Maybe she's looking at a future world in a similar way that George Orwell did in 1984. Now, the whole thing about 1984 was that it was a novel, a work of fiction. It was meant to be. The Green Deal, released by Representative AOC, as she has come to be called, is not a work of fiction. I mean, this is actual proposed legislation, or at least the framework for legislation. And just a couple of the details in it. I'm going to cut this off here in a minute, everybody. But a couple of the details in it are doing away with most air travel, or the need for most air travel, constructing bridges, yes, bridges across the oceans to support high-speed rail. As much high-speed rail as we could do, so that would virtually eliminate the need for air travel. And of course, everything is supposed to go to renewable energy sources, get us completely off of fossil fuel, get us completely off of nuclear energy. All labor would be unionized labor, no matter what the job, what the toil is that's supposed to be done. All union labor. Now, just think this through for a minute. This would require an absolute uprooting of every economic system on the planet today, save for a couple of very, very socialist nations, and they can't handle what this is about anyway. It would also require the hemorrhaging of cash money from every person, not just here in the United States, but every person in the planet. Oh, and one of the other things that AOC wants to do is to either rebuild or refit every structure, every single structure in the world, especially here in the United States, so that they meet the new energy standards. Obviously things that are being built right now that we wouldn't have to do that. But think about what that would cost. We're talking about, multiple trillions of dollars. And if you are anything like me, the concept of even $1 trillion is simply beyond your comprehension. We don't make that much money. We don't deal in that many zeros. I sure don't, and I know you don't either. But I couldn't help but thinking, as I looked at the proposed Green Deal, the new Green Deal by AOC and her counterparts in the House of Representatives and the Senate, that to do something like that would require the creation of a state. What would we name a state like that, you ask? Oceania sure sounds good. Maybe we wouldn't have Big Brother looking over our shoulders and policing everything. Maybe it would be Big Sister. Who knows? 70 years from now, some of our descendants may be looking back on this and go, hey, yeah, 70 years ago, 2019, AOC released that Green Deal, and we sure are liking it now. Or they might be saying, God help us, I wish the people back in 2019 had done something smart, like tell her to sit down and shut up. Folks, thanks for watching and listening tonight. This is BT here from my little corner of the world. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you again soon. Good night.